All right, guys. This is your boy Lago, the one half of Endure, back at it with one more video. So I want to talk about this right here, which is, again, better news, whatever. I like to listen to other people's stuff to hear what they're saying. So this is the worst case scenario. So let's see what the worst case scenario is. Here's the worst case scenario from my point of view. The Switch don't sell. PlayStation and Xbox still put money up for the prices. Physical gaming die. Nintendo maybe can't save the market like they did with the Switch the first time, and gaming gets brought to its knees. And I'm gonna tell you what that means for me. Not a damn thing, because I've been saying this since 2012 that I'm happy if Nintendo goes a certain route. I'll be like, well, I got enough games to play, and that's why I bought all physical, so nobody could come and own them and take whatever. Now, granted, people were like, well, people have told me in my comment section, well, how about if your house has a fire and stuff like that? Nothing is permanent. I'd rather be close to permanent than nothing, but nothing's permanent. God forbid I get a house fire. I don't want that. But I have more chances. Again, I have games from Game Boy and Super NES and 64 still working now. Been years. No problem. Now I lost my original Nintendo because my mom's house got caught in she's been in hurricanes all the time, but there was a nasty hurricane that came in 2017 and destroyed everything. So that's a possibility. But what can I do about it? Oh, I yearn for it. I wish I had take it. I saved my Metroid, but I wish I had take it. But it's like I can't do nothing about it. So I live my life and move on. Jeez. But let's see what these guys got to say.
There's no better way to start this episode than with a quote. So here it is. I don't want to blow things out of proportion, but this feels like a true crisis moment for Nintendo. Those are the
Really? Really? This is what, like I said, I don't watch them for a reason, and I literally have blocked them because I was like, because some of the stuff they said is so weird to me now. Like it's literally like it's like somebody who knows how the sausage is made, but then yeah, and then the way they cry about why they quit and stuff like that, it's like I'm like, you got a job, you're getting paid, you don't like it, you leave, which they did, and they leave. But hearing what they said with a job is like shit. You want my job here? You want my job here as an architect? When you got deadlines upon deadlines, you got to review stuff. Sometimes my eyes strain because I'm looking at big maps that I created, and I got to go over numbers to the centimeter to all this stuff. Like I'm doing big numbers. Y'all ain't doing that. Y'all won't doing that.
words of former PR manager for Nintendo of America, Kit Ellis, talking about the backlash to the Switch 2.
He was a PR manager? Whatever. I don't care.
It's fair to say there has been a lot of backlash out there. This was Nintendo's golden opportunity to take the insane success of the Switch, to present the future, and to lock in their dominance. Now you've got people talking about the Wii U. You've got people talking about pricing, about things that feel a little hostile to the consumer. So this is not
good, because you should not be a consumer, be a customer. Choose what you spend with your money.
what Nintendo wanted, and things could get worse before they get better. But that, of course, is only if you can even pre-order a console, which many of you can't. Spicy news first, so Nintendo have indefinitely delayed Switch 2 pre-orders in the USA and Canada, and that's explicitly because of the tariffs. My Nintendo members are going to get invites from May 8th, but as for everyone else, well, literally no clue. According to Doug Browser, who's of course CEO of Nintendo of America, the tariff costs were not factored into the pricing of the console.
Correct.
That is what he said, but according to analysts, that's likely just some PR spin. If you want evidence, you only have to look at, well, the Japan locked Switch, because it has been priced more cheaply.
Because it's a locked console. What the actual? And I know that other guy that y'all put out. It goes back to that stupid argument I've said again. Y'all bitched and moaned for Nintendo to be region free. Now you want it to go, now because you want it to be a little bit cheaper, you want it to be not region free. And I have a video about that whole lock stuff because people talk about what people don't understand about financial stuff. I got a video about that, which featuring Nintendo Forecast. I don't know if he might go before this video, after video, I don't know, but it's check that video out too. I like how because just like me when we look at the stocks and everything, we talk about stuff like real financial stuff. You see why, but y'all don't. Oh my God, I swear people are stupid. But whatever.
This really is quite something. Now, that is when tariffs would have been a comparatively minor impact. Now they're, quote, something we have to address, and that may not just be a delay. So to get into the tariffs, Chinese Switch 2s. Again, that's if these tariffs actually do end up fully being implemented at the full amount, which is, well, who knows basically. But the
Yes, they will, and that go to China Uncensored, go to China Star. These are newspapers that inside China. Oh, a lot of shit is happening. Real stuff is happening, and I'm for it. But whatever.
Chinese Switch 2s could have an import tariff of 145%.
Yeah. Okay. So you put in a new one. Yes. And the answer is no. They will not have 245%. They won't. Nintendo does not manufacture the switches in China. Not all of them, I should say. They go to Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is an offset of China because China saw that. They say, oh shit, the president we have right now is back in office. We gotta perceive that, and they did that when Joe Biden looked like an absolute moron on the debate. Looked like he's a brain dead person. I'm not getting into politics. I'm just telling you what happened. They like, oh shit, yeah, this don't look right. Yeah, let's Vietnam making stuff, and again. Nintendo been doing that since 2020 because after the pandemic and all the shit that happened, they were like, shit, we gotta we gotta pull away from China. Now they're gonna bring the stuff over to Japan, and I said, there's a way that Nintendo could do this. There's a way they could do this. Are they gonna do it? I don't know, but there's a smart way. Now, friend of the show, Sprite says, "Oh man, they could." Sprite said Nintendo could take their loss for the console for the first time. I wouldn't, but that's an option. I'm not gonna say it ain't. No, they make. I put out stuff to make money. That's what it is. So my answer would be this: ship the shit to Japan. It's a lot more. It's a lot more. It is a lot more shipping, but ship it to Japan, then ship the shit to America, because Japan won't get those high tariffs. That's the smartest way to do it. If that's what they're going to implement. Ship it to Japan, and then Japan just ship it to America. It's already built. Just say, hey, it was here. We checked over it, whatever, built whatever, stuff like that, and then go to America. That's what they do. That's what they should do.
Get a reprieve, so Nintendo are basically going to spend the next 90 days trying to get as many Switch 2s into the US from Vietnam as is humanly possible.
There you go, Vietnam, like I said.
In the worst case, analysts at DFC Intelligence are suggesting that Nintendo may not raise the price, but what they may end up doing is lowering the volume shipped in order to lower their risk in that market. Keep that in mind for later when we'll talk about the kind of shocking impact that could have on sales. And of course, if you're worried about scalping, yeah, you really should be if you're in America. That would suggest that anyone wants to buy the console. And if you'd look online, you'd certainly think, wow, nobody wants a Switch 2. I don't think that's the case, but
I'm with you.
There's 5 more. Dude, that smells bad as
I'm with you.
Backlash is fairly real, and in many cases, it's actually quite fair. It's fair to say Nintendo have not had a backlash like this since the 3DS in 2011, and at the time, that was treated as a fairly monumental event, right? Where they basically had to betray their initial purchasers. So doing some sort of price cut after launch for the Switch 2 would be similarly brutal, right? If launch people, because of tariffs, had to pay a humongous amount for the console, then the tariffs go away, other people get it for cheap. Yes, that would feel bad. Even if it wasn't their fault, it would be a massive PR issue for Nintendo.
Yes,
but here's the thing, even without tariffs, people are saying that this console is too expensive. Not only the console, also the games. And really, they're
games, whatever, console, no. Games, whatever, I'm not gonna argue that point again. Console, no.
They're not wrong. For many people, justifying $450 and then $80 for a game is really goddamn hard. Now, if you go into the data, right, this is Statista data for the...
Again, Last of Us just came out. a super duper edition. PlayStation raised up their prices up $100 in certain countries. Oh, as long as it ain't affecting America like this, that's the problem, huh? You see, this is why I don't. This is why the game market is such a weird place. So we could go up, we could bring it up to $499 from $300, but no. That we do that for we only did that for London and Spain and blah 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 and Australia. Don't worry, America, we keep you nice and fat. I hate me. That's the part that does kind of suck. I don't like that really as a human being person, but hey, whatever's whatever. And they got the videos all about that now, but whatever.
US, it suggests that over the last 7 years, you would have been taking home between 0.7 to 16.8% more than you were whenever the Switch launched. Obviously, there's a very high range there. It likely will be somewhere in the middle for you. Big picture, people are not feeling like wages are keeping up with inflation.
It never has.
These days.
We sold our soul to China. That's what America did, and that's why a lot of jobs went away. That's what happened. When you depend on somebody else to get you what you need, they could hold you by the balls and tell you, jump, monkey, jump. Example. There's a lot. If you want to buy organic, good bread, you gotta spend some money for it. Not a lot, but spend some money for it. Yesterday and this morning, I did 2 times. My point is, you can do certain things. I buy grain from American farmers, and now I make my own bread at my house. My wife loves that I make my own bread at the house now because it's good. I did a French bread yesterday, 2 days ago. Came out really good. Oh, good, nice soft butter. Oh man, tastes good. And it has less sugar. All it is simple ingredients: a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of sugar, flour that we grind ourselves, and water. That was it. Bam, French bread. I did cinnamon raisin bread. I'll put raisin in there, and I also put some cran raisins because I love it. Last night came out good, tastes good. It has less sugar than what you find in the stores. So and I want to do pasta the same way as well too, because I want to make my own pasta from scratch. So I grind my own grain, make my own flour, all that stuff. And to be honest with you, we have spent less money on that kind of stuff and save more money because of that. Don't depend on every single thing. I understand some things can be made in America. I get that. But right now, no.
That absolutely makes a switch to sting. But regardless of any increase, it feels like you buy less. In our last video on the top...
No, you're not. And I said it again. There's other videos that will be coming out again. Like all people who you never think of saying, nah, the Switch 2 is I'm surprised they get it at this price. Because what they have in their hands, the LCD, all the stuff. When you really have it, I think when people get it in their hands, they're going to see a difference. I think right now they're just angry because they don't see whatever. Again, be angry about the games. I got a problem with that. You want to be angry at the games, yeah, whatever. But the console is because I was correct and I know that was going to be the cost. It was going to be $450. But hey, anyway.
As an example, we pointed out that the richest 10% of the US population is currently paying for 50% of consumer spending.
Exactly.
That is quite the stat. So between inflation, the last recession, and a lot of other economic factors, the majority of people do seem to have less buying power.
Yes,
so when Nintendo
sold it away
appears and says, hello, you should pay $80 for the new Mario Kart, 33% more than for the last Mario Kart, that will hurt for people to hear.
Again, the direct is tomorrow, so I don't know. So I'm gonna put this video up. Is tomorrow or this video is recorded before the direct, but I'm gonna put this video up and see what happens. I think this one I'll go up. So the other one with the news forecast one, I'll put maybe Friday or something. All right, but yeah, just put this one up.
Emotional level, it will feel like a bit of a betrayal. Quite literally, it will feel like they are being left behind.
What? I don't work for the company.
By the economy broadly, and in this case, Nintendo specifically. And to the majority of people, that increase could be the choice between groceries, and a video game in some cases.
Then motherfucker, you buy the groceries. How stupid are you? What I said many times. Get your needs before your wants. If I need to pay certain things, I'm not buying a Switch 2. I'm not buying no games. I have bought a lot of games over the years, but I have waited until I know I got a good surplus while every other bill has been taken care of. Shit. What is wrong with you people?
That's pretty rough. And it's not just in the US. Even in Japan, there was actually pushback. A regional analyst, like one we often go to, Dr. Serkan Toto, pointed out that the cost of games had gone up by 52%.
Yes.
That's really goddamn big. That's surprising even to me. So even the region
Again, it was the same price back in the 90s, but whatever.
locked console pricing could not balance that out. And
Exactly.
if you weren't in the loop, basically, the Japanese Nintendo Switch 2 is way cheaper, but to compensate for that, it's region locked to Japan.
Thank
that was
you.
supposed to make it make sense for the Japanese economy, but even in Japan, they're not particularly thrilled. But to temper that ever so
Okay.
slightly, I do have a really interesting little tidbit. This was pointed out by Automation, where basically that conversation about the rising cost of games, that's been a little bit impacted by the relative cost of gacha games, right? So apparently that is absolutely surging up, especially for parents wanting a game for their kids. But anyway, the core point is cost of games going up, cost of the gaming hobby is going up. This is
Always
happening with
will.
Nintendo. It's a justifiable worry. Prices are up, wages broadly are not, and now a moat is being placed around your hobby. You can't go to another castle with better performance and graphics here because, well, it's Nintendo. A lot of people are
Well, just go ahead and buy a PC. Oh wait, that's expensive too. Oh, you have a Switch One? How about you keep on buying games? Because there's still games are still coming out for the Switch One. Metroid is still coming out for the Switch One. You don't have to get the shiniest thing, or do it, or don't buy it at all. Pay your damn rent. Pay your hospital bill. Don't buy it at all. Damn it. Pay your groceries. Crazy? I'm not starving for no game.
saying, wow, just buy a Steam Deck. I think it's fair to say that those are different audiences. So for a lot of people,
And they're stupid too. I want to buy a Steam Deck. Okay, I can't play Mario games, want to, and I don't own the games because it's that. I'm all right. I'm good. I like physical cartridges if you don't mind, sir.
they are essentially being told that you can't play anymore. And Nintendo's response to that concern
Let me get you a cold one.
Oh, good.
reminds me of
I know where this is going to go, which I done debunked this already, so I don't care. I don't debunk this. Is stupid.
the Xbox One and the internet
good.
requirement. Here's the big quote. We recognize there are some people who may not be able to afford the Switch 2's price point. That's why we
There was people who couldn't afford a regular Switch 2 price point. What the frick are y'all talking about? No, I know that's Bowser. He's talking. He's doing that. There were people who couldn't afford a regular Switch point. I know, because I bought Switches for other people. Because I wanted them to be happy about, playing that game happy. I had a person who sold their Switch because they would try to be a good person. I'm like, you know what? And, I know you sold your Switch to your nephew's mom and whatever and everything, and then they sold it for like for the $300 something dollars. It was like $100. They gave us almost a brand new Switch, so whatever. And I'm like, I said, you know what? You like games, you have games. You know what? I'll buy you a Switch. And I bought a Switch for a Christmas, and they had fun. I bought 2 Switches for my friend Annie for her 2 kids because they went through a horrible life. Not the parents' fault. Illegals just did some stuff to hurt their family. I mean illegals because they're legals like I'm legal. We are legal immigrants to this country. We're legal immigrant. But a piece of crap illegal person took their father and their brothers. So sucky story. But yeah, so I bought them 2 Switches as well too. So nah. I will do that for that. But that was not their thing. It shouldn't be that.
Nintendo's response to that concern reminds me of the Xbox One and the internet requirement.
No.
Here's the big quote. We recognize there are some people who may not be able to afford the Switch 2's price point. That's why we wanted to make the other Switch platforms available. This was from Doug Bowser talking to CBC. It really does appear to be all part of the business plan. And some people have compared this to the very disastrous Xbox One launch where
Dalmatic told the truth, and PlayStation didn't say the truth, but did the exact same thing as Xbox with always online games and key games. And like I said, with the other video I had with people like, oh, the other consoles does that. So why you bitching at Nintendo? Wait, Two out of three does it, and now you arguing for the one who kept it that way. And again, they're keeping their games to be on the cartridges for now that we know of. So yeah.
CEO, Don Matrick, one of the legends of gaming, it's fair to say, told the press that if someone didn't want the always online Xbox, they could just go and purchase an Xbox 360. So that was not great PR for him. In this case, though,
That was the truth, though.
Doug Browser simply acknowledging market trends. Because, yeah, the economy's kind of different now. Console generations, in a way, are less real. There's less of a hard definition. People can't afford to move and often don't see the point of moving without meaningful exclusives existing.
Yeah, saying that, don't forget, there's still a lot of people who have a PlayStation 4 Pro. And God bless ya. So they ain't even bought a PlayStation 5. So what? And they're still making games for PlayStation 5 from before. So again, you don't have to buy a Switch 2. Don't buy a Switch 2 if you can afford it, or don't buy a Switch 2 if you don't need it. It's not a need, it's a want.
And a factoid to sort of prove that is that we're only just starting to see PS5 sales overtake the PS4 proportionally.
There you go.
Over the last few months. So that is not humongous sector-wide growth, especially
Exactly.
because, well, PS5 and PS4 are the dominant thing, and Microsoft's position in the market's kind of
Dominant or what? No, they ain't, but whatever.
It's kind of rough, actually. And what it shows is the last generation of consoles lasted a long time into the current generation, and a lot of those big first-party games, well, they still shipped in the PS4 for like 2 years into this gen.
Exactly.
In fact, PlayStation aren't going to stop PS Plus benefits for PS4 games until January 2026. It's kind of wild. For the third parties, the biggest games like Call of Duty still support the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Exactly.
Which, again, mind-boggling to me, but it does make financial sense. That's the consoles that people own. You can't not sell games on old consoles when those games these days cost so much money to make, and there's a big install base who will actually buy them.
And Nintendo still have games coming out for the Switch 1. And there are third-party games coming out for the Switch 1. There's some games I've seen people said Sudoku 1 and 2 is a key card for the Switch 2. So some people said no, some people say yes. I don't know. I gotta see what's going on. But if it's a key card, I ain't buying it. I'm buying the Switch 1 version. I'm not buying no key card bullshit. Hell no.
Means for the people who sell consoles is now they've actually got to play really quite the...
And don't get me wrong, the key cards are way better than what the other consoles are doing, but still, and I like that. That is as the old person says, it's a better step, and I'm cool with that, but still, nah. I would no. I want the full game on the cartridge.
Long game. The prior
Except for
generation
indies.
cannot
I'm
just
cool with
be
that.
abandoned in the way that it was. And that means Nintendo need to make it clear to people that the Switch 2 games are not just Switch 1 games, despite there being backward compatibility. There has got to be a strong perception of value to draw people
Everybody
forward.
who played the game
and
said it.
partially that's going to be exclusive games that will stay exclusive.
Duh.
But it's also about making those games seem more valuable. And that's why we've got to talk about perception. Speaking to Gene Park of the Washington Post, Doug Browser confirmed that, as an example, the $70 benchmark is for a game like Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that will be most premium games. He said, though, there will be, quote, variable pricing across the line. And what they'll be doing is considering the development of the game and the expectancy that that game will give people long-term value, and then they will price accordingly, which basically means Mario Kart's going to be $80. If it's a sort of game that will become like a cultural institution that you'll be playing for a decade, it's going to cost $80.
Yeah.
He says that otherwise they'll monitor audience trends to see what the future will look like, which, to be honest, implicitly sounds like them saying, if not enough people buy the $80 version, we won't do it again. But it's probably also him saying, if enough people buy the $80 version, we'll probably do it again. So we'll basically have to see.
Give it
You
that.
can be damn sure that broadly, if the industry can nudge those prices up, yeah, of course they will. You saw the whole discussion about GTA in that. But still, to a lot of people, a $60 game is just as out of reach as, say, an $80 game these days, which is something that's actually built into Nintendo's plan. What they say they're hoping for, right, is inelastic demand for their products that basically means, well, they can justify that price. So that is the concept that regardless of the price, the quality of their product will ensure a consistent audience. And this is not a new concept for Nintendo.
Nope.
Their whole idea is that their console should be sold at a profit. Their games should be profitable. And we can see that perfectly
Introducing
related in one game. And it's one game that
Yes. And okay, I want to go back because the commercial messed me up
has
there.
sparked consoles should be sold at a profit. Their games should be profitable.
And I get that. And I get that. And you're going to talk about the welcome tour. And I get that too. Here's the thing. I'm not buying the welcome tour. That's simple. Don't buy it. That's all. Don't buy it.
And we can see that perfectly encapsulated
The welcome
in
tour.
one game. And it's one game that has sparked a lot of pushback. And that is Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour. Because that welcome cost you $10. Now, Nintendo's Bill Trinan argued that, quote, with the amount of care and work that they put in, they think it's a fair price for a minigame collection that also explains the details of the console. Of course, everyone, me included, we all just look at Astro's Playroom and we kind of say, what the fuck, guys? Or say, Wii Sports? And based on both those two examples and the sheer fact that this is basically a thing that demos the console's features, that it should sort of be bundled with your console as a general thing. But here's the thing, Nintendo actually never really thought like that. We learned from Reggie Fils-Aimé's autobiography that both Iwata and Miyamoto had to be convinced over a period of months to give Wii Sports away for free. Which is kind of wild. Here's the quote. The ever-present smile and impish squint of Mr. Miyamoto's eyes were gone. Quote, neither of you understands the challenges of creating software that people love to play. This is something we constantly push ourselves to do. We do not give away our software. It's a fun quote. I can absolutely see where Miyamoto's coming from with that. But from a sheer marketing and cultural heft perspective, I think it's fair to say that Wii Sports being there on every Wii was very pivotal to its success. They, though, may argue that that's just me doing a backwards rationalization, and that if it did go the other way, and let's just say Wii Sports cost $20, maybe it would have been just as much of a cultural juggernaut, and people also would have bought it, thus netting Nintendo quite a bit more money. So Nintendo in this case are charging $80 because, quite frankly, they think they can. And right now, very many signs do actually point to them being right. Sometimes data tells a more interesting story than you'd expect. This is one of those cases. So according to VentureBeat, analyst firm DFC downgraded their Switch sales forecast over time. Now, remember, that's not because they're not expecting people to buy the console if, say, they're given the chance. It's because they're expecting Nintendo to ship fewer consoles. Now, they've downgraded from 17 million to 15 million units sold, which, by the way, would still make it the fastest-selling games console ever, especially at launch, where basically it seems that it's kind of baked into people's expectations that the dedicated audience for the Switch will likely see Nintendo through, but that is assuming there are no further tariffs or price changes. Obviously, there could be chaos, and don't worry, we will be doing, and we're working on it right now, a full sort of deep dive impact on tariffs, impact to the game industry, all of that in a video that's less specific to Nintendo. But essentially, from our survey of the field, most analysts are assuming that unless something really drastic happens, the Switch 2 will not have a price increase. In fact, DFC, in their estimates before the price reveal, they were estimating $500 for the Switch. So market expectations were that this would have been more of a premium thing. Basically, the thought there is anything more than $500 would have simply been too much, and it would have snapped the inelastic demand. But it's Nintendo. They have got strong inelastic demand. And they're in a very unique position because on the one hand, they're launching a flagship at basically the worst possible moment. I mean, it really is a bad time. But also, they're Nintendo. They know that what they offer exclusively cannot be bought anywhere else.
Exactly.
The people who will say, buy a ROG Ally. That's, yes, a handheld game console, but it's not direct competition when you think about who Nintendo actually sells to and what their audience is. They have got one of the strongest, maybe the strongest moats in the entire industry, and they're thinking in the long term. So here's the thing. Nintendo can't raise your wages, but not raising game prices right now would effectively be reducing their game's value in their eyes, right? So if they kept their game prices down to try and meet the economic problems of the day right now, they would seem to themselves to be setting up for a worse long-term situation. Instead, what they're doing here is setting their plan out for the future, and what they want to do is bank on a very deeply invested...
I got you. Now you're talking like the other video that I have. I was talking about the Nintendo forecast. Now he was talking like that video. Okay, now you get it. Now it makes sense. Now, thank you. I'm sorry for flying off the hinges at the beginning,
that will get them started. They think that their
but you did kind of say stupid stuff. But I'll just say that.
sales will be fine based on what they can actually ship,
Sure, yeah.
and that will be a strong enough install base, but importantly for them, still one that is profitable, which essentially means they're planning for diehards right now and then for a healthier market to follow afterward, where all the rest of that demand will really come online and people will be able to buy the console.
Yeah.
We will obviously, though, have to see how well that plays out. What's interesting to me is this is Nintendo trying to do this, and whenever they say $80 for Mario Kart, they can basically get away with
Remember
it.
that.
I might not be happy, you may not be happy, but it's fucking Mario Kart. Where else are you going to get Mario Kart? Are you really going to go and play Crash Team Racing or some other kart game? No, you're not, right? So they think they can get away with it. There are few companies who can do that. Take-Two, I think, could do it with the next GTA, but it is
GTA?
very interesting.
Yeah.
Whenever we saw the price increase up to $69.99, what did we see play out in the market? There are some games who, well, could actually get away with that, right? People were willing to buy. May not have been happy, but they did buy. But
Yep.
in those cases where a game extra did not justify its AAA price tag, I mean, Redfall's probably a good example, we saw seemingly extra hard punishment. So yeah, Nintendo could nudge up those prices. Take-Two will probably follow along.
Yep.
But anyone else who follows along, well, they better make sure they have the goods, because if they don't, it'll be a very expensive mistake.
Okay, I give it. Good. Worst case scenario. Good. I like that a lot. Good video. I like it. I give you a thumbs up for that one, because that makes sense. You trying to get all the sides, and then again, yeah, and I like that people need to understand certain things. But again, the stance, how I said at the beginning, stands now. If you don't like it, don't buy it. If you like it, buy it. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Again, and he points out the same thing I point out. There's so many PlayStation 4s that people buy games for PlayStation 4. Hell, I'll buy PlayStation 4 games for my PlayStation 5, but PlayStation 4. So you don't need to get a PlayStation 5. You don't need to get a Nintendo Switch 2. But please do not choose your grocery gaming over groceries. You're stupid for that. But that's Darwinism, and if you do that, please don't have kids. Anyway, with that said, this is your boy, like, one half of Endure. Alright? Remember, there's no perfect games out there. What's perfect to you is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply enjoy games on all consoles, including PC. And let's hope that I think Nintendo is holding back something for this direct that people will be like, oh snap. Yes, I want to buy I'll pay the $80 now. I was gonna buy it, didn't really care, but I'm just saying for the other people, let's see. Because everybody who went and played the games, every PC people, you using Gamer, Nathaniel, all these people who are PC guys went and like, wow, this is not like a Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck could, to make it better, maybe next year. Steam could do it better next year. But for right now, this is doing better than Steam Deck that they said. It feels lighter, it feels better, it feels solid, it feels premium. Every one of these guys are saying it, and they're PC guys. So, what else can I say? With that said, I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.